Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll just wait 1 little minute to get started. My name is Francis. I'm account executive at StreamScan for the manufacturing sector here, and we're really happy to have you join us for Under Attack. What really happens during ransomware attack? In the hours following the attack and the time following. So we'll have a deep dive into what this means for organization. So as mentioned, we'll just leave it a little tiny minute here for latecomers to arrive, and then we'll get started. I will say while we're waiting for folks that this session will be recorded and be shared afterwards with everybody who's attended or registered to attend. And we will also, we hope that to make this webinar interactive. So if you do have some questions or comments, we invite you to put this in the chat or the Q&A section of Teams. Quickly, before we start our presentation, for those of you who are not familiar with StreamScan, StreamScan is a cybersecurity firm established in 2011, and we really focus on operational areas of cybersecurity. So we have a team of over 30 experts, anywhere from researcher to analysts, developer, threat hunters, and generally they're split into two kind of key areas. One of them being our security operations center, so the SOC, so we can work in managing alerts and threats for our clients. But we also have a R&D center, which is really active. And through this, we've developed some technology, including an EDR, as well as a technology that is called CDS, which allows to monitor in real time network activity, so we can detect issues and potential threats and deal with alerts that may come on our clients' networks. And this is all AI-based, patented technology, really top-notch product for cyber security. Now, what makes us specialists in discussing the topic at hand today, which is incident response in the case of ransomware, is that StreamScan was initially founded based on incident response. So that one of the first things that we did, and so we were exposed to a lot of, since the last 20 years or so, cases of incident that some of them being ransomware. And so we got to really be informed of what's going on, see some trends, some changes over time, and some of the motivation behind those threats. And so we'd like to go and look a little bit in depth at this topic today. To do so, I'd like to introduce you to Karim Ganame, who's the head of cybersecurity at StreamScan, and perhaps Karim, you could introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Francis. My name is Karim. I'm the chief of cybersecurity for StreamScan, and I do a lot of things at StreamScan, but mainly I work on incident response, like company from Quebec, Canada, and other part of the world, which got hacked by ransomware attack and other kind of attack. My job will be to help them to identify how the bad guys get on the network, how we can enforce the security of the network and eradicate the incident to come back to prod in a secure way. And sometimes when the company don't have backups, and we have to just negotiate with the bad guys because the company don't have backup and they cannot come back to production if they don't have access to the decryption key. In such kind of case, my job will be to act as a negotiator with the trade actor to know what they want, how much they are asking for, and after that, I come to the company upper management to talk about that and to discuss to say if there is a way to have an agreement to have access to the decryption key. This is such kind of things that I do for StreamScan, and I also manage to sometimes some company will have a big incident which is like a crisis, and my job will be to work with this company to ensure that everything is okay, the incident is handled in the right way, and sometimes you can see that a cyber attack is on the news and I will also help the company to ensure that the communication is right, and that they do the right thing to ensure that all law and regulations that are asking them to do some notification are taken into account, and they did everything as they have to do.
Excellent. Thanks, Karim. So we've seeded a few questions here to get the conversation started. But as I mentioned at the beginning, what we're really here for is to answer any questions that you might have. So please don't be shy. Put them in the Q&A as your question arises, and then we'll get to them. But to get us started, Karim, what really happens when a cybersecurity incident happens? Who does what, who shouldn't be doing what. Walk us through this, the first few hours and the first few days of an incident.
Okay. And in most of the case, when there is an attack, mainly ransomware attack in the company, at the beginning, the IT team and the upper management, they don't believe that it is really something which is real. People have to just think about it and say, wow, we have just an incident. We are thinking that this cannot target us. It is like something that we see on the news. We think that it may target other company, but us, we are not sure that we will be targeted one day. And when the ransomware attack happen, the first thing that we have to do is to say, okay, we have an attack. We have a confirmation that we are under attack. What we can do very quickly to ensure that the incident is contained. Containment in cybersecurity is like what I can put in place to ensure that the incident cannot propagate to other devices on the network. Because sometimes at the beginning you identify 2 or 3 machines which are affected by ransomware, and if you take your time to you don't act very fast to take the right action, 1 or 2 hours later, you will see that maybe the attack was propagated to 10 or 20 machines, and this is bad. What you have to do just is say, there is an incident, what I can put in place to isolate the incident, to do what I can do to avoid the incident to propagate on my network. For that, we'll just, if you see that you have a critical machines like domain controller, like a critical server or database, which are affected by the ransomware, just cut internet. You don't have I see sometimes some companies saying that maybe I can just disconnect the machine which are affected. This is not a good idea because sometimes you never know how much machine are infected on your network. And for that, you have just to cut internet for a moment, and after that, you will go try to identify what are the machines that are affected. For that, you will run antivirus on the network, of the device on your network. And if you run the antivirus and it identifies a machine or a device as suspicious, you have just to disconnect it from the network. And containment is the first item that you have to focus on. Other things that is very important in the few hours, communication management. I see sometimes some company which decide to be very transparent with everybody on the company, and they will send a notification like a email to everybody with employees to tell them that the company is facing a ransomware attack, and there is an impact. This is a bad idea because if you do that, you never know. Maybe in your company there are some employees who are friends with journalists or who know people working for some news, and you never know. Maybe someone can just forward your email to a journalist, and after that, the news will start talking about you. Don't do that at the beginning because you know that there is a problem, but you don't know enough information about that. Just do a small communication telling to people that you are facing a IT problem, an IT incident, you are working on that, and after that, you will come to them with an update. If you don't do that, and you just ask people to don't connect to the network, some of them will start creating their own scenario of the attack, and people will continue to talk about the attack, and at the end of the day, maybe people will talk about a big ransomware attack, and in reality, maybe it is a small attack. Just ensure that contain the incident to ensure that it will not propagate, and after that, manage the communication to ensure that the incident remain under control, I would say.
Yeah, thanks. And we'll come back to the media thing here, but I think that's important also not to create panic, right? So to make sure that people don't freak out and really, to the extent possible, continue to do their work, without speculating.
For sure.
So often in the case of ransomware, their bad actor will obviously encrypt your information, your data, and ask for a payment for description. Should businesses and company actually deal with those pirates? And who should be doing? Is it do we need an intermediary, or is it the leadership of the company? So walk us through the process of whether paying the ransom is a good idea, and if we need to deal with pirates, how it should be done.
Okay. My advice, based on my experience, is by default never negotiate with the bad guys. Negotiation should be something that you don't want to do, because you never know. You can negotiate with a trade actor, you pay the ransom, and sometimes they just disappear and they don't give you the decryption key. Sometimes some bad actor can give you decryption key, but the key don't work. In such kind of case, you pay and you don't access to the service that you want. All the things that you have to take into account if you pay the ransom, the message that you are saying to the bad guy is that you pay one time, you can pay second time, and so on. This is the bad news that you are trying to send them. But you also, by default, you don't negotiate, but never close the door, because you never know. Sometimes I remember a company which got hacked, and the backups that they had cannot be restored because the backup was very bad. And in such kind of a case, the upper management, they have a discussion between them, and they come to me and they say, if we want to create our data from scratch, starting by zero and creating the record one by one, it will take us like one year. This is unacceptable for us. We cannot do that, because if you have to do that, it like will stop operating, because of the in addition to the database and system, some operational technology system was also affected by the bad guys. And for them, it was something that is they cannot just say we not pay, because if they don't pay, they will take 1 year to come back to prod, and sometimes it is not good. In such kind of case, what we can do is, okay, we take the case like it is a business case. According to what I'm seeing in the market, it is a business case, because for the bad guys, you are just like a customer. They are trying to sell you something, they get access to your network, and they are asking you to pay to have the decryption key. It is like a service that they want to offer to you. As a company, you also have to see them as just a company who want to sell you something. In such kind of case, you can just decide to talk to the bad guys to know what they want. And sometimes they will tell you, maybe we are looking for $100,000 or $1 million, something like that in US dollar. And if you know what they want, you can decide internally if you want to continue to negotiate and how much you are willing to pay. And this kind of thing, if you don't know how much you are willing to pay, sometimes you can just someone of your team, your upper management team can say, okay, maybe we can increase the amount, and this is not this is not a good idea. At the beginning, in your incident response plan, you have to say we don't negotiate, but if one day for any reason we have to talk, this is the maximum amount of money that we are willing to pay to the bad guys. If you come to the bad guy and you say, okay, you're asking for $1 million US dollar, we cannot just pay you X amount. Are you okay? And it is a negotiation. It can take 1 day, it can take 2 or 3 days, but at the end, you can just have an agreement. And if there is an agreement, what we do, will just validate that this ransomware gang is a group that we can trust, because in this area, the bad guys, they take the control of your network, but because they need to collect money, they have to show to the cybersecurity ecosystem that you can trust them. This is the reason why when they pay, they collect ransom. There are some company like insurance company and over, they will collect information about that. And when before in my site, before is saying to the companies that they can pay, I will do some validation with this company to ensure that maybe if for this ransomware gang, if people pay, do they provide the decryption key or they don't do that? And sometimes we can say that in 80%, the ransomware gang give a decryption key. Sometimes it is 100%, and sometimes it can be like 10% they give a decryption key. In such kind of situation, I just come to the company and I say, you know why? This ransomware gang, you cannot trust them because most of the time, if you pay, they don't give you the decryption key. And the company will decide that maybe they will they will pay or not. But really, the advice is not to pay. Other thing which is very important in terms of negotiation, the upper management should never involved in the negotiation with the bad guys for many reasons. Sometimes what I see in the market, when someone of the upper management start doing some negotiations, sometimes for any reason they can just start saying to the trade actors that they are not good people, they are like thieves, something like that. But the bad guys is saying you just as a customer, and don't talk about in this way. If you start doing that, maybe sometimes we can also say, okay, you are saying that I'm a bad guy, I will double the amount of the ransom that you have to pay. And if it is the upper management, sometimes it will be very difficult to come to him or her and say, you have just to go out and let another person continue to do the negotiation. For that, just choose someone which is not on your company. It can be an external party or another person, but let someone that do the negotiation on behalf of you. And in the case that you see that the negotiation is not good, maybe you can just come to the bad guy and say, okay, we will replace, we'll come with another one who will negotiate for you. But never, in no case, someone of the upper management should be involved on such kind of negotiation.
That makes a lot of sense. I like how you're positioning the bad guys as a service offering, essentially, right? So making the business case, is it an existential threat? What is it worth for the company? It's a business decision, which shouldn't be highly emotional, but also we know how stressful and emotional that kind of moment is. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'd like to remind you folks, if you maybe have been victim or you've been working for a company that was victim of an incident, and you have a bit of a insider approach to this, or what your experience has been, just go ahead and put it in the chat if you feel compelled to. Just as a side note here, Karim, do we know roughly, I mean, it's probably hard data to get, but what the amount of ransom is for cyber incident, maybe in Canada? Do you have any figures?
Yeah, I see a lot of number in the news. In the news, sometimes we talk about $4 million US, but in Quebec, in Canada, what we used to see in the market is mainly, I would say, around $500,000. Sometimes it can be less on that. Sometimes it can be 1 or 2 million, but million is not what we expect to see every sometime. In Quebec, sometimes it is around 500,000.
Right. It makes sense to make it realistic. Also, if you're asking for a lot of money of a company that doesn't have that kind of budget, then of course that's a bad deal for pirates as well. So that makes sense.
And another thing that I can add here, the bad guys, when they jump on your network, they know how to evaluate how much money you have.
How much to ask? Yeah.
Yeah. They will go to some website like Zoom Info. Zoom Info is a website where you can just enter the name of a company and see more detail about the sales and how many people are in the companies. And the bad guys, they really love Zoom Info. They will connect to Zoom Info, enter the name of your company, and see how much you sell per year. If they say that maybe you are around 10 million, maybe they will not ask for the same amount as if they say that you have 100 million for something like that. They will just collect information, try to know how much money you have, And after that, we'll say, okay, oh, at the beginning, maybe I just want to ask for this amount, but I cannot double or ask more because this company have money. This is something that we used to see.
Interesting. Well-organized groups, that's for sure. So we've touched on it a little bit when we were talking about keeping the control of internal communication so that it wouldn't leak to media. But how does a company get hacked? Avoid being showing up in the making the headlines of newspapers.
Yeah, today I would say that now it is very, very difficult. Difficult because the guys for the news, they know that ransomware attack and cyber attacks are hot topics, and people love to read such kind of papers on the newspaper. This is the reason why most of the journalists, they have access to the news group of the bad guys on the dark web. Every day they wake up, they go on the ransomware gangs website to check to see if a company from Quebec, from Canada, or from US got hacked. And if it is the case, and like it is a product that there is not a hot topic on the market, maybe they will write a paper about you. Here, what advice I give today, if you have some attack, first thing, go to the ransomware gang forum to see if your name is on the website. If you see that your name is on the website, for sure the guys from the news will see the information. In such kind of case, the right thing to do is to be very transparent, tell to the people, your employees, your partners, that you got hacked, but you are taking the right measure to ensure that the data will be secure, and nobody will just have access to your data. If you don't do that and you just wait, one guy from the news, Journal de Montréal, La Presse, they will go on this ransomware gang forum, they will take the information and will publish a paper about you. And that also another advice for you: if a journalist publish a paper about a ransomware attack, what I used to see is that they will go to the ransomware gang forum, because if you don't pay the ransom, after a few days, the bad guys will start publishing some of your document. The goal for them is really to put you under pressure to say, okay, guy, we are starting publishing 5 documents. If you don't pay, we'll publish all the documents that you have for you. And I see sometimes some company, when they see that the bad guys start publishing their document, they will just sit with them and say, okay, we have to discuss, we want to pay. If the bad guys start publishing your document, you should know that. And after that, just call your partner and tell them that you got hacked, and unfortunately, some of the information was exfiltrated by the bad guys, and you want just to advise them and tell them that there is an incident, and you are doing your best to ensure that the document will be secure. If you don't do that, and someone from a news publish a paper about that, sometimes I also see the news, the journalists calling some partner to tell them that, guy, we see that a company which your partner got hacked and your information is published on the dark web. What do you think about that? And if you don't call your partner to inform him that you got hacked, and he see this information in the news, it will like you are trying to hide something, and this is bad. Just be transparent with your partner and tell them that you got hacked, but you are doing your best to ensure that the incident will be mitigated.
Great. And I guess that maybe feeds into the next kind of question that we have there. This is happening really quickly, so I'm guessing you need to be prepared for this. So how can businesses be prepared for this kind of situation where they get attacked?
Yeah, great question. Here, you should consider today that cyber attacks are growing. It is like something which is here to stay. If you don't do something to enforce your security, one day you will get hacked. This is clear, it will happen. What you have to do is to enforce the security of your network by putting in place some cybersecurity tools to enforce the security of endpoint, like EDR and antivirus technology. You should also set in place to like intrusion detection and prevention system, IDS, IPS, collect log, do some analysis. And after that, you have to monitor the security of your network 24/7. And this will help you to detect every time that you are under attack, you will detect the attack and eradicate it to ensure that this will not become a problem. Because today, when we see the cyber attack ecosystem, most of the attacks are not done by human. More than 90%, the bad guys, they will use some botnet. There is a more than million of botnet of the world, and this botnet will run 24/7. And if they find a vulnerability on your system, they will just try to take control of your system. And after that, they will send a notification to the bad guy to tell them that they have a new victim. Because most of the attacks are coming from botnet, you should just monitor the security of your network 24/7, because the bad guys, they will not be on vacation, they will not be on a weekend. And if you just monitor your security just in the opening hour, in the night, something can happen, and you will not be able to detect and block it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Karim. We just have a couple more minutes left here. So it was pretty quiet in the chat, but you will have the opportunity to ask questions some other ways. We have created a new LinkedIn group called Stream Circle, where we'll be inviting the community, cybersecurity enthusiasts, people who are curious or want to know more about security to cybersecurity to join us, ask questions. We will, through this community, if somebody can move the slide forward, you will be able to watch the replays that we have of these webinars and the future one, but also know of upcoming webinars. So I think there's a little bit of a typo here, but to join us, https://streamscan-link stream circle will take you to the right LinkedIn community. Speaking of upcoming webinar, next slide, please. We would like to announce that on June 19th, we'll have our next webinar. It's another half hour around lunchtime as well. So it's good if you want to bring your sandwich and join us. And we'll be talking about the Center Security Operations Center, more specifically what we call level 4. So traditionally, there's been the level 1, 2, and 3, and the various activities and tasks that the roles in those teams take. But level 4 is one that's emerging as being really critical in this landscape where we're seeing more and advanced and complex attack, and to make sure that we're in the position to properly help you defend your assets. So you can see at the beginning, at the bottom, excuse me, of the slide here, the link to register, and of course in our follow-up email sharing with you that this presentation will include the link to both the LinkedIn community as well as the link to registers for this event. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.